How will all of these overnight cues impact our own markets? Our research team is now joining in with how the trade setup looks like, the stocks that are likely to be in the news, and of course the setup on the F&O side of things as well. Firstly, Vinny joins in to get us all the market cues that we need to watch out for. Good morning, Vinny. It's the start of a new series. What are the cues you're picking up?
Hi, good morning, Horma. So yesterday, the end of the previous series, it was a volatile trading session that we saw coming in. Let's start with that because benchmark indices managed to close in the positive side, and we saw the benchmark indices, Nifty, Sensex, snapping the two-day losing streak. Nifty closed about 24,800. Mid and small cap, that continued to outperform. And overall, for the week also so far, we have seen that outperformance coming in for the mid and small cap versus the benchmark indices. Metals were the gainers yesterday. We had realty that was gaining in trade as well. While in terms of drag, PSU banks a bit muted, as well as FMCG, also a bit of a drag and closing in the red. But FIIs, they continue to be buyers for the fifth consecutive session. Yesterday, they bought around 884 crores, while DIIs also were buyers, 4,287 crores coming in from the DII front. Now, what we're keeping an eye out on in terms of the update coming in from US, now the appeals court has reinstated Trump's tariffs, so that is something we are watching out for. On the domestic front, keep an eye out on the GDP growth rate data that will be coming in. So that is important to watch out for. A lot of US economic data points will be coming in on the front of the consumer sentiment side. So keep an eye on that. Yesterday, we didn't have those weekly jobless claims that came in. A bit of a rise that one has seen coming in more than what was expected. So that also is something that could keep the sentiment a bit muted. So today, what we're watching out for, Nifty implied open, just indicating a slight bit of a positive bias, more like a muted start is what we're watching out for as of now.
Watching out for a muted start. Vinny, thanks a lot for that. That does not take away from the fact that there are a lot of stocks to watch out for, and there were a slew of earnings that were reported after market hours yesterday. Mamakshi will tell us all of that.
Well, Hormaz, let me first start off with Bajaj Auto. It was a good run for the company this time around. Revenue came in above estimates, seeing an uptick of almost 6%. The margins have come at 20.17%. This is more or less in line with what the street was anticipating, and the net profit saw an uptick of almost 6%, slightly above the street's anticipation. Mascot, on the other hand, did not have a great quarter. Revenue was up only 2.3%. The margins have contracted to 2.8%, and the net profit is down as much as 51%. Ola Electric too did not have a good quarter. Revenue saw a downtick of almost 62%. They've managed to expand their EBITDA loss to 695 crores. The net loss too has widened to almost 870 crores. Suzlon, on the other hand, had a great quarter. Revenue saw an uptick of almost 73%. The margins have improved by around 200 basis points to 18.4%, and the net profit has seen a multi-fold jump, and that is because there was a deferred tax gain of around 601 crores. SJVN's revenue saw an uptick of 4.5%. EBITDA margins have come in lower at 47.7%, and the company this time around has reported a loss of 128 crores, and that is because overall higher expenses impacted the bottom line. Amara Raja's revenue grew by 5.2%. The margins have contracted to 11.13%, and the net profit was down almost 30%. So not a great quarter for Amara Raja. And lastly, let's focus in on NBCC. The revenue saw an uptick of 16.2%. The margins have improved marginally to 6.25%, and the net profit has grown by almost 30%. So those were some of the counters that you need to watch out for in trade today. But let's look at what the F&O cues are indicating, and we now have Mangalam joining in to explain just that. Good morning, Mangalam.
Good morning. So as we do at the start of every series, we say hello to June series, right? So not just today, let's look at the entire June series and how the May series went as well. Now, if you look at the previous few June series, the last June series, we saw a near 1,500 point move on the Nifty. But that was largely because, remember, last June we had the interim budget that came in from the government as well, the newly formed government. But bereft of any cues, June series typically is a bridge month where you see, post-May sort of cool off and pre-July, August sort of, bridge. So 2 to 3% on either side is what June series in the past has done. If you look at the May series, we're going in with 3 straight series of gains. In the last 3 trade series, we've seen about 2,200 points in terms of gains for the Nifty. And if you look at the rollovers at 79.1%, they're largely in line, as is the open interest that we're seeing on the Nifty at 1.26 crore shares. So while rollovers are in line, we're sitting on 3 series of gains, and the open interest is in line. What has changed? The underlying composition of long contracts. So the FIIs, while they rolled over overall on the same level as the previous 3 months, they've actually rolled over more short positions than long positions. So their long exposure has dropped to 20%. Remember, at the start of May and April series, it was 40 and 41%. So can the Nifty get fourth time lucky in the June series is something that we'll have to track for. Clients believe definitely. Clients are basically HNIs who have long exposure at 61% after starting the previous series with 45% long exposure itself. What are the key triggers for June series? Like I said, there's usually bereft of many cues, but we do have the RBI policy decision on June 6th, so the Nifty Bank will be in focus on account of that. Then obviously a lot of uncertainty around tariff updates, all global developments we'll watch out for. And as the start of June begins, we'll watch out and monitor the spread of monsoon as well, because that sets up the phase for the next couple of months.
Indeed, the start of the June series, and we say hello to that, hopefully on a positive note as well. Mangalam, thanks a lot for